Once upon a time, in a lush green jungle filled with towering trees and sparkling streams, there lived a crocodile named Carl. Carl was no ordinary crocodile. He was the biggest and silliest crocodile in the entire jungle. With his enormous grin, playful splashes, and a heart full of fun, Carl was always up to some silly antics. One sunny morning, Carl woke up with a twinkle in his eye and a plan in his mind. He decided it was the perfect day to explore the jungle and make new friends. With a hearty breakfast of fish and a quick splash in the river, Carl set off on his grand adventure. As Carl waddled through the jungle, he sang a silly song that echoed through the trees. The other animals couldn't help but smile at Carl's cheerful tune. First, Carl came across a curious monkey named Max, who was swinging from branch to branch. "Hello, Max," Carl called out with a big grin. "Would you like to join me on an adventure?" Max, intrigued by Carl's playful nature, swung down to join him. "Sure, Carl. Where are we going?" "We're going to explore the jungle and make new friends," Carl replied, his tail swishing with excitement. As they ventured deeper into the jungle, Carl and Max came across a wise old turtle named Tilly. Tilly was sunbathing on a rock by the river, her shell glistening in the sunlight. "Hello, Tilly," Carl greeted her. "Would you like to join us on our adventure?" Tilly opened one eye and smiled. "Why not? It's been a while since I've had a good adventure." With Tilly now part of their group, Carl, Max, and Tilly continued their journey. They soon reached a clearing where a flock of colorful birds were singing and dancing. The birds, fascinated by Carl's size and silliness, flew down to meet him. "Hello, birds," Carl said, his eyes twinkling. "Would you like to join us on our adventure?" The birds chirped happily and agreed to join the fun. With their new friends in tow, Carl led the group through the jungle, sharing stories and laughter along the way. As they explored, Carl's silly antics brought joy to everyone. He splashed in the river, making big waves that made the birds giggle. He played hide and seek with Max, who was an expert at hiding in the trees. And he listened to Tilly's wise stories about the jungle's history. One day, while they were playing near a large ancient tree, they heard a faint cry for help. Carl's ears perked up, and he followed the sound to a small clearing. There they found a baby elephant trapped in a thorny bush. "Don't worry, little elephant," Carl said gently. "We'll get you out of there." With Max's nimble hands, Tilly's wisdom, and the bird's keen eyes, they carefully untangled the baby elephant from the thorns. The baby elephant trumpeted happily and flapped its ears in gratitude. "Thank you, Carl," the baby elephant said. "You're a hero." Carl blushed, his tail swishing with pride. "I'm just happy to help," he said modestly. Word of Carl's bravery spread throughout the jungle, and he became a beloved figure among its inhabitants. Carl continued to explore the jungle, always ready for a new adventure and always willing to lend a helping paw. One evening, as the sun set and the jungle glowed with a soft, golden light, Carl sat by the river and reflected on his journey. He realized that the true magic of the jungle wasn't just in its beauty, but in the friendships he had made and the kindness he had shown. With a contented sigh, Carl closed his eyes and drifted off to sleep, dreaming of more silly adventures and the wonderful friends he had made in the jungle. And so, Carl the big silly crocodile lived happily ever after, always ready for the next adventure, and always bringing joy and laughter to everyone he met. Once upon a time, in a charming little village, there lived a silly dog named Ziggy. Ziggy was known for his playful antics and boundless curiosity. Every night, as he snuggled into his cozy bed, he hoped for a new adventure. Little did he know, tonight would be the most magical of all. As Ziggy settled down for the night, he heard a soft musical humming coming from his bedroom window. He padded over and peered outside to see a beautiful, glowing butterfly fluttering in the moonlight. The butterfly had wings that sparkled like tiny stars. "Hello, Ziggy," the butterfly called in a gentle, tinkling voice. "I'm Bella, the enchanted butterfly. I need your help to find the heartstone of the enchanted forest. Without it, the forest will lose its magic." Ziggy's eyes sparkled with excitement. "I'd love to help. Where is the enchanted forest?" Bella's wings fluttered gracefully, It's a magical place that appears only at midnight. Follow me, and I'll show you the way. With a sprinkle of fairy dust, Bella and Ziggy soared through the night sky. They flew over shimmering lakes and sleepy villages, until they reached the edge of the enchanted forest. As the clock struck midnight, the forest emerged from the mist, glowing with an ethereal light. The enchanted forest was like nothing Ziggy had ever seen. Giant, luminescent flowers, sparkling streams, and glowing creatures of all shapes and sizes filled the magical realm. But the forest's usual brilliance seemed dimmer than usual. Bella guided Ziggy through the forest, past singing trees and twinkling fireflies. They soon arrived at the heart of the forest, where a grand ancient tree stood. This tree, known as the Elder Oak, was said to hold the Heartstone. The Elder Oak spoke in a deep rumbling voice. "Brave Ziggy, the Heartstone has been stolen by the mischievous shadow sprites. They've hidden it somewhere in the forest." Ziggy's nose twitched as he thought hard. "Where can we find these shadow sprites?" Bella fluttered doubtfully. "They like to play hide and seek. We'll need to find their hideout, which is hidden deep within the forest shadows." Ziggy and Bella set off on their quest. They searched high and low, peeking under mushroom caps, behind giant leaves, and even inside hollow logs. After a lot of searching and a few playful chases with the friendly forest creatures, Ziggy heard a faint giggling sound coming from behind a dense thicket. Pushing through the thicket, Ziggy and Bella discovered a hidden cave. Inside, the shadow sprites were playing with the Heartstone, their tiny eyes twinkling with mischief. "Hello, little sprites," Ziggy said gently. "The Heartstone is very important for the enchanted forest. Can we please have it back?" The shadow sprites looked at each other, their mischievous smiles fading. In the same village where Ziggy the silly dog lived, there was a rumor about a magical garden hidden somewhere in the countryside. This garden was said to be filled with flowers that could sing, trees that could dance, and fruits that could grant wishes. Ziggy, with his boundless energy and love for adventure, decided to find this magical garden. One sunny afternoon, Ziggy set off on his quest. He packed a picnic basket with his favorite treats and a blanket to sit on. As he trotted through the village, the villagers wished him luck, knowing that Ziggy was always up for a new adventure. Ziggy followed a winding path that led him through fields of wildflowers and over gentle hills. He sniffed the air, hoping to catch the scent of the magical garden. After a while, he came across a sparkling stream. Ziggy paused to take a drink and noticed a small, shimmering fish swimming near the surface. "Hello, little fish," Ziggy said. "Do you know where I can find the magical garden?" The fish leaped out of the water and replied, "Follow the stream until you reach the waterfall. Behind the waterfall, you will find the entrance to the magical garden." "Thank you, little fish." Ziggy barked happily and continued on his way. Ziggy followed the stream until he reached a beautiful waterfall. The water cascaded down in a sparkling curtain, and Ziggy could see a faint glow behind it. With a deep breath, Ziggy leaped through the waterfall and found himself in the most enchanting garden he had ever seen. The garden was filled with flowers of every color, each one singing a different melody. The trees swayed and danced in the breeze, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers. Ziggy's eyes widened with wonder as he explored the garden. As Ziggy wandered through the garden, he came across a wise old rabbit named Ruby. Ruby had lived in the garden for many years and knew all its secrets. "Hello, Ruby," Ziggy said. "This garden is amazing. Can you tell me more about it?" Ruby smiled and nodded. "This garden is a place of magic and wonder. It is said that anyone who finds it can make a wish, and it will come true. But remember, Ziggy, the most important wishes are those made with a kind heart." Ziggy thought for a moment and then made his wish. He wished for the happiness and well-being of all his friends and family in the village. As soon as he made his wish, the garden seemed to glow even brighter, and Ziggy felt a warm, happy feeling in his heart. With his wish granted, Ziggy thanked Ruby and continued to explore the garden. He played with the singing flowers, danced with the trees, and enjoyed the magical fruits. When it was time to leave, Ziggy felt a little sad but knew he would always carry the magic of the garden in his heart. Ziggy returned to the village, where he shared his adventure with everyone. The villagers were touched by Ziggy's kind wish and celebrated his return with a big feast. From that day on, Ziggy was not only known as the silliest dog in the village but also as the kindest and most magical. And so Ziggy the silly dog continued to have many more adventures, always bringing joy, laughter, and a touch of magic to everyone he met. I hope you and your toddler enjoy these new stories about Ziggy. If you need more tales or any other assistance, just let me know. Once upon a time, in the heart of a vast and vibrant jungle, there lived a baby elephant named Ellie. Ellie was a small elephant with big dreams and an even bigger heart. She was known throughout the jungle for her tenacity and determination, always eager to explore and learn new things. One sunny morning, Ellie woke up with a sense of excitement. Today was the day she had decided to find the legendary Golden Waterfall, a place that was said to be the most beautiful and magical spot in the entire jungle. The Golden Waterfall was a secret known only to the oldest and wisest animals, and Ellie was determined to discover it for herself. With a hearty breakfast of fresh leaves and a quick splash in the river, Ellie set off on her grand adventure. She trotted through the jungle, her trunk swinging with joy and her ears flapping in the breeze. Along the way, she greeted all the animals she met with a cheerful trumpet. As Ellie ventured deeper into the jungle, she came across a wise old parrot named Percy. Percy had bright, colorful feathers and a wealth of knowledge about the jungle. "Hello, Percy," Ellie called out. "Do you know the way to the Golden Waterfall?" Percy fluttered down to a low branch and looked at Ellie with kind eyes. "Ah, the Golden Waterfall," he said. "It's a long and challenging journey, but I believe you can do it. Follow the path of the sunflowers, and it will lead you to the waterfall." "Thank you, Percy," Ellie trumpeted happily and continued on her way. Ellie followed the path of the sunflowers, which led her through a meadow filled with tall, golden flowers that seemed to glow in the sunlight. She marveled at their beauty and felt a renewed sense of determination. As Ellie continued her journey, she encountered various challenges. She had to cross a wide river, climb a steep hill, and navigate through a dense forest. But with her tenacious spirit and a little help from her friends, Ellie overcame each obstacle. At the river, Ellie met a friendly crocodile named Carl. Carl offered to help Ellie cross the river by letting her ride on his back. Ellie was a bit nervous at first, but Carl's gentle nature reassured her, and they made it safely to the other side. Next, Ellie faced the steep hill. She took a deep breath and began to climb, her small legs working hard to carry her up the slope. Halfway up, she met a group of playful monkeys who cheered her on. They even helped push her from behind. With their encouragement, Ellie reached the top of the hill, feeling proud and accomplished. Finally, Ellie entered the dense forest. The trees were tall and thick, and it was difficult to see the path ahead. But Ellie remembered Percy's advice and kept her eyes on the sunflowers. Along the way, she met a wise old tortoise named Tilly, who guided her through the maze of trees with her slow but steady pace. After what felt like a long and arduous journey, Ellie finally reached the edge of the forest. There, in front of her, was the most breathtaking sight she had ever seen: the Golden Waterfall. Ella woke up early on a sunny September morning, feeling a mix of excitement and nerves fluttering in her little heart. Today was the day she had been eagerly waiting for and slightly dreading at the same time. It was her first day of kindergarten. She quickly got dressed in the new outfit her mom had laid out for her the night before. It was a sky blue dress with tiny white daisies and her favorite red shoes. She carefully placed her brand new sparkly backpack on her shoulders, feeling a bit like a big girl already. Downstairs, her mom had breakfast ready. "Good morning, Ella. Are you excited for your big adventure?" her mother asked with a smile. Ella nodded, though she couldn't help but nibble on her toast a bit hesitantly. "What if I don't make any friends, Mom? What if the teacher doesn't like me?" Ella voiced her worries, eyes wide. Her mom knelt down to her level, brushing a lock of hair behind Ella's ear. "You are going to do great, sweetheart. Just be yourself and you will make lots of friends. And as for your teacher, I'm sure she will adore you just as much as I do." Reassured, Ella finished her breakfast and grabbed her lunchbox, ready to face her big day. When they arrived at the kindergarten, colorful balloons bobbed at the gate, and cheerful decorations lined the pathway. Other kids were arriving too, hand in hand with their parents. Some looked excited, others a bit teary-eyed. Ella felt a little braver seeing that she wasn't the only one who felt a bit overwhelmed. Inside the classroom, the walls were covered with drawings, letters of the alphabet, and a big calendar. The teacher, Miss Weathers, greeted each child warmly. "Hello, Ella. Welcome to our class. I'm Miss Weathers," she said, kneeling down and offering Ella a sticker. "You can put this on your name tag." Ella took the sticker, a bright yellow star, and placed it carefully on her name tag. She felt a bit of the tension ease away. The morning was filled with fun activities, block building, story time, and even a little bit of singing. Ella found herself next to a girl named Mia during story time. Mia had curly brown hair and a shy smile. They exchanged glances and Mia whispered, "Do you like dinosaurs?"
Ella nodded vigorously.
"They're my favorite," she whispered back. By recess, they were inseparable, giggling on the swings and sharing their love for all things dino. When it was time for lunch, Ella opened her lunchbox to find a note from her mom. It said, "I love you. Have a great day." With a little heart drawn next to it, she felt a warmth spread through her, a reminder that her mom was with her in spirit. She and Mia sat together, munching on their sandwiches and talking about their favorite dinosaurs. In the afternoon, Miss Weathers gathered all the children in a circle. They each shared something about their day so far. Ella stood up when it was her turn, her heart pounding a little less now. "I was worried I wouldn't make any friends," she began, glancing at Mia, who smiled encouragingly. "But I did." The class applauded, and Ella felt a swell of pride. The day came to an end with a short nap time followed by a little more play. When Ella's mom arrived to pick her up, she ran into her arms, full of stories about her day. "I made a friend, Mia, and we both love dinosaurs. And Miss Weathers is really nice, just like you said." Ella's mom smiled, her eyes twinkling. "I knew you would have a wonderful day. I'm so proud of you, Ella." As they walked home hand in hand, Ella felt a sense of accomplishment. She had faced her fears, made a new friend, and even enjoyed her first day of kindergarten. And she knew without a doubt that this was just the beginning of many more exciting adventures to come. Once upon a time, in a quaint little village nestled between rolling hills, lived a silly dog named Ziggy. Ziggy had the softest fur, the brightest eyes, and a nose that was always sniffing out new adventures. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Ziggy was playing in his backyard when he stumbled upon something curious. A hidden gate covered in ivy. Ziggy's tail wagged with excitement. He had never seen this gate before. With a determined sniff, he pushed it open, revealing a mysterious path that led into a lush, secret garden. The garden was unlike anything Ziggy had ever seen. It was filled with vibrant flowers, twinkling fireflies, and a gentle, sparkling stream. As Ziggy ventured deeper into the garden, he noticed a wise old tortoise sitting by the stream. The tortoise, with a shell that shimmered in the moonlight, was quietly reading a book. "Hello there," Ziggy barked cheerfully. "I'm Ziggy. What's this place?" The tortoise looked up with a warm smile. "Hello, Ziggy. I'm Toby the tortoise. This is the secret garden, a magical place that only appears to those with a kind heart and a curious spirit. But lately, the magic here has been fading." Ziggy's eyes widened. "How can we help?" "I'd love to restore the magic." Toby nodded gratefully. "To bring the magic back, we need to find the enchanted petal. It's a rare flower that blooms only once every 100 years, and its glow keeps the garden's magic alive." Determined to help, Ziggy set off with Toby to search for the enchanted petal. They wandered through the garden, admiring its beauty as they went. Ziggy sniffed around the base of towering trees, peeked under the petals of blooming flowers, and listened to the gentle whispers of the wind. As they ventured through a particularly enchanting part of the garden, they heard a soft musical humming. Ziggy followed the sound and discovered a patch of glowing mushrooms. Among them, a small silver fairy with delicate wings was dancing gracefully. "Hello," Ziggy called out. "We're looking for the enchanted petal. Have you seen it?" The fairy, whose name was Luna, fluttered closer. "The enchanted petal is hidden deep in the Garden of Dreams, a place where only the purest of hearts can enter. Follow me, and I'll guide you there." With Luna leading the way, Ziggy and Toby walked through a series of magical pathways. They crossed over shimmering bridges, navigated through tunnels of twinkling lights, and finally arrived at the Garden of Dreams. The Garden of Dreams was a breathtaking sight, filled with glowing flowers, soft, fluffy clouds, and a gentle mist that sparkled like diamonds. In the center of the garden was a magnificent flower, its petals glowing with an otherworldly light. It was the enchanted petal. Ziggy approached the flower with awe. As he gently touched it with his nose, the enchanted petal's glow grew brighter, casting a warm, magical light over the entire garden. The secret garden began to sparkle and hum with renewed magic. Toby, Luna, and Ziggy watched in delight as the garden's magic was restored. The flowers bloomed even more vibrantly, the stream sparkled with renewed brilliance, and the fireflies danced joyfully in the night. Toby turned to Ziggy with a grateful smile. "You've done a wonderful thing, Ziggy. The magic of the secret garden is back, all thanks to your kind heart and bravery." Luna fluttered happily around Ziggy, sprinkling a little fairy dust over him. "As a token of our gratitude, please take this magic blossom." She handed Ziggy a delicate flower that glowed softly in his paw. With the magic blossom in his paw and a heart full of joy, Ziggy bid farewell to his new friends and made his way back through the hidden gate. As he returned to his cozy bed, he felt a sense of accomplishment and happiness.
Once upon a time, in a cozy little town named Waggletown, lived a funny dog named Ziggy. Ziggy was no ordinary dog. He was a fluffy, brown ball of energy with a mischievous twinkle in his eye. Ziggy loved to play, but more than anything, he loved to make everyone laugh. Every morning, Ziggy would bounce out of his doghouse with boundless excitement. He had a special routine that made everyone giggle. First, he would do his famous morning wiggle. Ziggy would wiggle his bottom from side to side as he trotted around the yard. His fluffy tail would spin like a propeller, making the birds laugh and the squirrels pause in their scurrying to watch. One sunny day, Ziggy decided to have an adventure in the park. He bounded through the open field, his ears flapping like a pair of silly wings. Ziggy's best friend, Bella the cat, was lounging on a sunlit rock, watching him with amusement. "Hey, Bella," Ziggy called out with a cheerful bark. "Want to come on an adventure with me?" Bella, who was known for her calm demeanor, stretched lazily and replied, "What kind of adventure?" "The kind where we find the biggest, silliest stick in the park," Ziggy announced, his tail wagging furiously. Bella rolled her eyes, but couldn't resist Ziggy's enthusiasm. "All right, let's go," she said with a sigh. Ziggy and Bella set off, Ziggy sniffing around excitedly. They explored every nook and cranny of the park, from the flower beds to the big oak tree. Ziggy's nose led him to all sorts of interesting smells, and Bella followed, trying to keep up. As they wandered, Ziggy spotted a particularly large stick lying under a bush. He dashed towards it with a joyful bark. The stick was so big that Ziggy had to drag it across the grass. Bella watched, amused, as Ziggy pulled and tugged with all his might. "I found it," Ziggy declared triumphantly, panting and wagging his tail. "The biggest stick ever?" Bella chuckled. "It's a great stick, Ziggy, but don't you think it's a little too big for you?" "Nonsense," Ziggy exclaimed. "This is the perfect stick for a perfect adventure." With Bella's help, Ziggy managed to carry the stick to the park's playground. There, Ziggy had another grand idea. "Let's play fetch," he suggested. Bella raised an eyebrow. "How can we play fetch with a stick that's bigger than you?" Ziggy thought for a moment. Then his eyes lit up with another silly idea. We can't throw it, but we can roll it. So, Ziggy and Bella rolled the enormous stick across the playground. It was a hilarious sight. The stick would wobble and bounce, and Ziggy would chase after it, his floppy ears bouncing with every step. Bella, who was more agile, would guide the stick in zigzag patterns, making the game even more amusing. As the sun began to set, Ziggy and Bella were exhausted but happy. They had spent hours laughing and playing with the giant stick. Ziggy lay down on the grass, his tongue lolling out in a big, goofy grin. Bella stretched out beside him. That was quite an adventure, Ziggy, she said with a contented purr. Ziggy looked at his friend and said, I couldn't have done it without you, Bella. You're the best adventure partner ever.
Once upon a time in a land far away, there lived a young girl named Rapunzel. But unlike the stories you've heard, Rapunzel wasn't stuck in a tall tower or waiting for someone to rescue her. No, Rapunzel was an adventurous and curious little girl who lived in a bright, colorful house on top of a hill with her loving family. Rapunzel's hair was long and golden, just like in the old stories, but instead of being trapped, she used her magical hair for fun and exploration. She could swing from trees, climb the tallest hills, and even help her friends when they were in trouble. Rapunzel's hair wasn't just magical because it was long. It had the power to make plants grow faster, light up in the dark, and even give warmth to anyone who touched it. One sunny morning, Rapunzel woke up excited because it was the day of the great summer festival. Every year, the festival took place in the center of their beautiful town. There were games, treats, and the most amazing music. But the best part? Every year there was a grand race, and Rapunzel had been practicing for months. She hopped out of bed and ran down the hill, her hair bouncing behind her. As she reached the festival, she saw all her friends: Lila, the fastest runner, Max, the cleverest boy in town, and Penny, who always made everyone laugh. Are you ready for the big race, Rapunzel? Max asked with a mischievous grin. I've been practicing every day. I can't wait, she replied, tying her hair into a neat braid so it wouldn't get in her way. Just as the race was about to begin, something strange happened. Dark clouds began to cover the bright blue sky, and the wind started to howl. Everyone looked up, worried. Suddenly, an old woman appeared at the edge of the festival. She wore a cloak that covered her face, and her voice boomed across the town. I am the Wind Witch, she said with a sneer. This town has grown too happy and peaceful for my liking. I shall take away your festival unless someone can beat me in a challenge. Everyone gasped, and Rapunzel's heart began to pound. She didn't like bullies, and the Wind Witch seemed like the biggest bully of them all. Without thinking twice, she stepped forward. I'll take your challenge, Rapunzel said bravely. The Wind Witch laughed. You? With your long hair and little legs? Very well. If you can find the 3 hidden treasures of the forest before sunset, I will leave this town in peace. But if you fail, the festival will be mine forever. Rapunzel nodded, and without wasting any time, she set off into the forest. She wasn't afraid, because she knew that with her magical hair and her clever thinking, she could do anything. The first treasure was hidden near the tallest tree in the forest. Rapunzel climbed up the tree with ease, using her hair like a rope. At the top she found a shiny golden leaf, the first treasure. She tucked it safely in her bag and continued her journey. There was a deep, dark cave at the bottom holding the second prize. Rapunzel, though, didn't fear the dark. She let her hair glow like a lantern as she cautiously navigated the cave. The second treasure was a shimmering silver rock that she discovered at the end of the tunnel. As she exited the cave, the sun was beginning to set. She knew she had to hurry to find the third and final treasure. It was hidden in the middle of a wide river. The water rushed fast, and there was no way to cross it on foot. Once upon a time, in a quaint little village nestled between rolling hills and sparkling streams, lived a dog named Ziggy. Ziggy was no ordinary dog. He was known far and wide as the silliest dog in the village. With his floppy ears, wagging tail, and a nose that twitched at the slightest hint of adventure. Ziggy was always up to something fun and mischievous. One sunny morning, Ziggy woke up with a twinkle in his eye and a bounce in his step. He had heard whispers about a magical place called the Floating Forest, a place where trees floated in the air, and the leaves shimmered like stars. Ziggy's curiosity was piqued, and he decided that today was the day he would find this enchanting forest. With a hearty breakfast of kibble and a quick lick on his owner's cheek, Ziggy set off on his grand adventure. He trotted through the village, greeting everyone with a cheerful bark. The villagers smiled and waved, knowing that Ziggy was off on another one of his silly escapades. As Ziggy ventured further from the village, he came across a babbling brook. He paused to take a drink, his reflection rippling in the clear water. Suddenly a tiny voice called out, "Hello, Ziggy." Ziggy looked around puzzled. "Who said that?" he asked, his ears perking up. "Down here," the voice replied. Ziggy looked down to see a small frog sitting on a lily pad. "Hello, Mr. Frog," Ziggy said, wagging his tail. "Do you know the way to the floating forest?" The frog nodded. "Follow the brook until you reach the big oak tree. From there, take the path to the left, and you'll find the floating forest." "Thank you, Mr. Frog." Ziggy barked happily and continued on his way. After a while, Ziggy reached the big oak tree. He took the path to the left, just as the frog had instructed. The path led him through a meadow filled with colorful flowers and buzzing bees. Ziggy couldn't resist chasing a few butterflies, his silly antics making the bees giggle. Finally, Ziggy reached the edge of the floating forest. He gasped in awe as he saw the trees floating gracefully in the air, their roots dangling like delicate threads. The leaves sparkled in the sunlight, casting a magical glow over the forest. "Wow!" Ziggy exclaimed. "This is amazing!" As Ziggy explored the floating forest, he met many new friends. There was a wise old owl named Oliver, who told Ziggy stories about the forest's history. There was also a playful squirrel named Squeaky, who loved to play hide and seek among the floating trees. One day, while Ziggy was playing with Squeaky, they heard a faint cry for help. Ziggy's ears perked up, and he followed the sound to a small clearing. There they found a baby bird trapped in a thorny bush. "Don't worry, little bird," Ziggy said gently. "We'll get you out of there." With Squeaky's help, Ziggy carefully untangled the baby bird from the thorns. The baby bird chirped happily and flapped its wings in gratitude. "Thank you, Ziggy," the baby bird said. "You're a hero." Ziggy blushed, his tail wagging furiously. "I'm just happy to help," he said modestly. Word of Ziggy's bravery spread throughout the floating forest, and he became a beloved figure among its inhabitants. Ziggy continued to explore the forest, always ready for a new adventure and always willing to lend a helping paw. One evening, as the sun set and the floating forest glowed with a soft, golden light, Ziggy sat by a floating tree and reflected on his journey. He realized that the true magic of the floating forest wasn't just in its beauty, but in the friendships he had made and the kindness he had shown. One beautiful summer day, Ziggy the silly dog was running around the fields near his village, chasing butterflies and wagging his tail with delight. As he hopped from one flower to another, he noticed something unusual: a giant fluffy cloud hovering much lower than the others. It looked like a floating castle made of soft, puffy clouds, with shimmering towers reaching up to the sky. Ziggy's nose twitched with excitement. "A cloud castle? I have to see it up close," he barked. Without thinking twice, Ziggy raced toward the cloud castle, and to his surprise, a golden staircase made of sunlight appeared, leading up into the sky. Ziggy wagged his tail and bounded up the steps, eager to explore the floating kingdom. When he reached the top, Ziggy found himself standing at the entrance of a magnificent castle, where the walls were made of the fluffiest clouds, and rainbows danced around the towers. A friendly cloud bunny greeted him at the gate. "Welcome to the Cloud Castle," the bunny said with a smile. "I'm Nimbus, and I'm the keeper of the castle. What brings you here, Ziggy?" "I was chasing butterflies and saw your castle. It looks amazing," Ziggy said, still wagging his tail. Can I explore it? Nimbus nodded happily. Of course. But be careful. There's a storm brewing in the Cloud Kingdom. The king and queen need help to keep the castle safe. Ziggy's eyes widened. A storm? I can help. What do we need to do? Nimbus explained. The storm clouds are gathering in the distance, and they're full of grumpy rain clouds and rumbling thunder. If we don't stop them, they might wash away the castle. We need to gather the magical sunbeams hidden around the kingdom. The sunbeams will help calm the storm. With a determined bark, Ziggy set off on his mission. He bounced across the soft cloud paths, following the shimmering trails left by the hidden sunbeams. Along the way, he met all kinds of friendly cloud creatures. A playful cloud cat who purred as it floated by, a flock of chirping cloud birds, and even a wise old cloud owl who gave Ziggy clues about where to find the magical sunbeams. Ziggy's first stop was the Rainbow Fountain, where colors danced and splashed in every direction. At the base of the fountain, Ziggy spotted a glowing sunbeam. He carefully picked it up and tucked it into his collar. Ziggy climbed up the tallest cloud tower, where the wind whispered softly in his ears. At the top he found another sunbeam, this one hidden behind a fluffy cloud curtain. Ziggy gently pulled it free and added it to his collection. But the final sunbeam was the hardest to find. It was hidden deep within the cloud forest, where misty fog and soft raindrops floated in the air. Ziggy searched high and low, sniffing around every cloud tree and peeking behind every puff of fog. Just when he thought he might never find it, he heard a soft giggle. There, nestled in a patch of twinkling stars, was a tiny cloud fairy holding the last sunbeam. Are you looking for this? She asked with a mischievous grin. Yes, please, Ziggy said, wagging his tail. We need it to stop the storm. The cloud fairy giggled again. I'll give it to you, but only if you can catch me.